What if the universe was never turning a deaf ear to your desires? What if it has been echoing something far more intimate, your own hidden doubts? So many people think their dreams stay out of reach because they're asking for too much. But often, the real truth is quieter and far more personal. Somewhere deep inside, a small voice still whispers, "I'm not worthy, not of love, not of peace, not of success, not of anything." And when that belief lingers beneath the surface, life reflects it back. So you search. You look outside yourself, chasing approval, validation, achievements, relationships. Anything that might make you feel whole for a moment. But those things can't complete you, because you're not missing anything. Buddhism teaches a gentle but radical truth. What you seek has always been within you. The moment you stop wrestling with yourself. The moment you stop trying to fix, perfect, or replace who you are. And simply allow yourself to be loved. That's when everything quietly begins to shift. Life doesn't start flowing from desperation, but from stillness. And stillness always begins with self-love. You are not separate from the world. You are not cut off from its rhythm. Every bit of energy you carry, your doubts, your hope, your compassion, is mirrored back by life itself. If your heart is filled with self-criticism, the world feels harsh. If your inner voice is soft, confident, accepting, the world responds with softness too. So ask yourself gently, what am I actually calling into my life? Is it love? Or is it the fear of not being enough? Is it confidence? Or the hunger to be seen because you don't truly see yourself? In this video, we will explore timeless Buddhist wisdom. The kind that doesn't just help you feel better, but reshapes how you experience yourself. And how life responds to your presence. And if you stay until the end, I'll share a rare spiritual understanding. A quiet truth hidden in plain sight. One that can shift your inner world permanently once you truly grasp it. Before we begin, take a slow breath. Let your shoulders soften. And if you feel called to, subscribe to this channel. Think of it as a small sanctuary in your day. A place carved out for clarity, reflection, and the gentle insights that rise from Buddhist philosophy. Now, let us begin. Have you ever noticed that the harder you run after something? Peace, love, success, clarity. The farther it seems to slip away? It isn't a coincidence. It's a reflection. Buddhism teaches that the energy behind your desire shapes the outcome far more than the desire itself. When your longing rises from fear, scarcity, or emptiness, the world mirrors that back. Not as punishment, but as a revelation of your inner state. Imagine extending your hand to a delicate bird. If your grasp is tight, desperate, trembling with fear that it may fly away, it will. But if your palm is open, steady, calm, the bird may rest there without hesitation. All things you yearn for respond in the same way. Chasing from lack pushes them away. Stillness invites them forward. Modern life tells you to run faster, grind harder, chase endlessly. But Buddhist wisdom says something revolutionary. Return to yourself. Not through passivity. Not through laziness. But through conscious presence. A presence that doesn't beg the world to validate you, because it already knows it is enough. When you stop trying to convince the world to love you, and instead begin loving yourself, everything changes. Self-worth has a frequency. Wholeness has a quiet magnetism. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply radiates. And in that calm radiance, the right people, opportunities, moments, and blessings begin to move toward you. Not because you chased them, but because your energy became a gentle invitation. Now take a breath. Slow, natural, unrushed. Picture your desires not as mountains you must conquer, but as petals gliding toward you across a still lake. They come not through force, but through alignment. This is the wisdom of non-resistance. When your mind is calm, the truth reflects clearly. like the moon glowing upon quiet water. Sometimes, what you're chasing isn't what you need. It is the echo of a wound quietly asking to be seen. So instead of chasing the outcome, turn inward. Sit with the part of yourself that feels not enough. Hold it gently, the way you would comfort a child. Healing begins here. Not by reshaping the world outside you, but by tending to the fragile pieces within. In Buddhist thought, suffering doesn't come from not having enough. It arises from clinging. From believing you must earn what you already deserve. You don't need to become a future version of yourself to be worthy. Your worth already exists in this moment. And when you return to that wholeness, life flows toward you naturally. Not to fix your emptiness, but to meet your fullness. Think of it like this. You are not an empty space waiting to be filled. You are the open field where everything longs to arrive. If your inner voice whispers, "I am not enough," life echoes, "You're right." But if your energy quietly says, "I am worthy," the world shifts in response. This isn't blind optimism. It's energetic truth. Buddhism teaches that you don't manifest results. You manifest causes. Your energy is the cause. Your life becomes the effect. So pause and reflect. Are you manifesting from pain or from peace? The universe doesn't listen to your words. It feels your vibration. If your energy is cracked by old wounds, even your most beautiful desires will slip away. Like pouring water into a bowl with hidden fractures. Joy cannot stay where doubt leaks through. But healing begins the moment you stop hiding your cracks and start honoring them. In Japanese art, kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold. Not to disguise the break, but to highlight it as part of the story. Your pain is not a defect. It is the place where light enters. So ask yourself, are you begging life to approve your worth? Or standing in the dignity of your own self-respect? The Buddha said, "You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." This is not comfort. It is instruction. Because love doesn't just transform your inner world. It transforms what moves toward you. When you stop needing, you begin receiving. When you stop proving, you start becoming. Let your presence whisper peace. Let your silence say, "I no longer chase. I welcome." The world doesn't answer your hunger. It answers your wholeness. And the moment you truly love yourself, life itself begins to change its shape around you. Have you ever noticed that the most powerful forces in life rarely make noise? The stars don't scream for attention. Yet we look up at them in awe. The ocean doesn't beg to be noticed. Yet its presence commands respect with every slow rising wave. A mountain never moves. Yet its stillness shapes the entire horizon. This is the nature of true presence. Quiet, grounded, undeniable. In Buddhist philosophy, this is called alignment. A deep inner coherence where your mind, breath, and heart move in harmony. True power is not found in how loudly you speak, but in the stillness of your being. We live in a world that confuses noise with confidence. People shout to be seen. They over-explain, over-prove, over-perform, believing that if they stop, they will disappear. But the universe listens differently. It doesn't respond to volume. It responds to vibration. A quiet mind sends a clearer signal than a loud voice ever could. When you stop reaching, grasping, defending, performing. When you simply return to your breath and exist without needing the world to validate you, your energy becomes unmistakably magnetic. Because nothing is louder than someone who is deeply at peace. Close your eyes right now. Let your breath soften. Imagine your inhale like a gentle tide rolling in, and your exhale like the tide returning to the sea. There is nothing to fix in this moment. Nothing to chase. Nothing to prove. Just presence. Pure, unburdened, whole. This is where true magnetism begins. The most powerful people are not the ones who shout their truth, but the ones who embody it. You might have wondered, why am I not seen? Why do my efforts feel invisible? Often the issue is not what you do, but the energy behind why you do it. Where in your life are you being loud because silence feels too vulnerable? Where are you performing because you fear simply being yourself won't be enough? Noise is often a mask for fear. But stillness, true stillness, is a sign of trust. What if your quiet presence was already enough? What if the attention, love, respect, and connection you desire are not activated by effort, but by alignment? Look to nature again. A flower doesn't strain to attract the bee. It blooms. A mountain doesn't bend or shrink for attention. It stands. The moon doesn't chase the night sky. It simply glows. Stillness is not inactivity. It is mastery. And when your energy settles, the world feels that. People are drawn to you without understanding why. Opportunities begin to move toward you. Conversations open easily. Even your silence carries warmth. Not because you demanded it, but because your calm presence declared, I am whole. Stillness sends the clearest message to the universe. You no longer need to complete me. I remember my own worth. Being still does not mean being unseen. It means being felt. You become undeniable. Not because you try harder, but because your presence speaks truth without a single word. The more you love yourself in silence, the louder your energy becomes. Ask yourself this. Can you love something deeply and still be at peace if it never becomes yours? This is the heart of true detachment. Not the cold rejection of desire. Not pretending you don't care. But a quiet maturity that allows you to release your grip without extinguishing your hope. In Buddhist wisdom, detachment is not abandonment. It is reverence. It is the understanding that everything moves according to its own rhythm. And our attempts to force timing or outcomes often create more suffering than the loss we fear. We cling to people, dreams, outcomes, identities, believing that if we hold tightly enough, they cannot fade. But life doesn't respond to force. The tighter you hold, the more resistance you create. Fear, disguised as control, becomes a barrier to flow. Trying to hold on to something through fear is like trying to trap wind in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a butterfly landing in your open palm. Your instinct might be to curl your fingers, to protect what feels delicate and fleeting. But instead, you stay open. You trust. You allow. This isn't indifference. It's wisdom. It's the recognition that love is not possession. And that peace is not found in gripping what you fear losing, but in allowing life to move naturally, even when you don't understand its timing. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. It is not the release that hurts. It is the resistance to letting go. When you soften your grip, not to discard but to breathe, a profound clarity enters your life. Fear subsides. Space returns. Your energy becomes open, receptive, ready. Life begins to move again. Gracefully, effortlessly. Like water finding its path around stones. Ask yourself gently, what am I holding so tightly that it can no longer grow? A relationship? An old version of yourself? A dream that needs more space, not more pressure? A story about who you must become? Can you loosen your hold enough to allow life to unfold? Not from apathy, but from trust. Real love does not imprison. Real presence does not demand. Real alignment does not choke what it wishes to keep. When you release your need to control the outcome, you invite what is truly meant for you to enter. Not because you forced it, but because you created space for it to arrive. This is not the surrender of defeat. It is the surrender of wisdom. A surrender that says, I do not need to grip to receive. What is meant for me will stay. What is not meant for me will gently pass. And I will remain whole through both. Your peace must live in the now. Not in some imaginary future where everything finally aligns. When joy is rooted in presence, not possession, you become unshakable. Free to want, without being defined by whether you receive. Free to act, without being chained to outcomes. This is inner freedom, where desire and detachment coexist, and your peace becomes a choice, not a condition. So let go. Not to reject what you love, but to honor it. Trust that what is meant for you is already on its way. Not because you clutched it tightly, but because you finally created the space it needed to find you. Let your heart whisper, I am ready. Let your energy say, I no longer chase. I receive. The universe listens to that kind of trust. And life begins to reveal its quiet brilliance. One unfolding breath at a time. Self-compassion is one of the most misunderstood powers in the world. People think it means softness, weakness, laziness, or self-pity. But in Buddhist wisdom, self-compassion is clarity. A gentle light that cuts through the fog of inner chaos. We live in a world that constantly tells us to upgrade ourselves, to optimize every breath, to be better, faster, stronger. As if healing means becoming an entirely new person. But Buddhism whispers a different truth. Healing isn't becoming someone new. It's learning to embrace who you already are. What if peace is not about eliminating pain? What if peace is what happens when you stop running from your pain and begin to soften toward it? Most people treat their inner wounds like intruders. They hide them, mute them, try to scrub them clean before anyone sees. But what if those wounds aren't asking to be erased, only to be acknowledged? When you respond to your pain with warmth instead of resistance, you shift from survival into presence. You stop being at war with yourself. And for perhaps the first time, your inner world becomes a safe place to exist. Pause now. Place your hand gently over your heart. Feel your own warmth beneath your palm. And whisper within yourself, even this part of me deserves love. The part that aches. The part that fears. The part that regrets. The part you've spent years trying to silence. All of it is worthy of compassion. This is not weakness. This is sacred courage. To offer kindness to the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide is one of the bravest acts a human can commit. Most people walk through life with a quiet war inside. A voice that criticizes every flaw, demands constant performance, and never grants rest. Is it any wonder peace feels distant? The Buddha taught, hatred does not cease by hatred. And this applies inward, too. Internal conflict doesn't dissolve through self-attack. It dissolves through self-understanding. So ask yourself with tenderness, where have I been unkind to my inner child? Is it the voice that says, you should have healed by now? Or the whisper that insists, you'll only be worthy when you're better? Now imagine what might shift if you stopped demanding perfection and instead offered understanding. Could you sit beside your sadness instead of sprinting away from it? Could you witness your flaws without letting them define your worth? Healing begins the moment you shift from fixing to listening, from shaming to welcoming, from resisting to embracing. When you offer yourself the same compassion you freely give others, Your energy softens, your spirit steadies, and the world begins to reflect that grace back to you. Not because life outside suddenly changed, but because you did. You don't attract joy by becoming flawless. You attract it by becoming whole. Wholeness isn't the absence of wounds. It's the willingness to no longer abandon any part of yourself. When you love even your chaos, clarity begins to rise again. Like sunlight warming its way through morning fog. Remember this truth. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are not beyond repair. You are simply waiting to be welcomed back into your own heart. And once you offer yourself that love, the world slowly learns to mirror it. What if every single person you meet, every conversation, every reaction, every silence, is quietly reflecting the tone of your inner voice? Not as punishment, not as fate, but as a mirror. In Buddhist teachings, the world and the mind are not two separate realms. Your outer experience is influenced, sometimes shaped, by the state of your inner world. You don't see people as they truly are. You see them through the lens of who you are in that moment. Take a pause and reflect. The way you speak to yourself when no one is watching, the compassion or cruelty in your inner voice, sets the template for what you unconsciously allow from others. If your self-talk is harsh, you will accept harshness. If you ignore your needs, you will attract people who do the same. If you diminish your worth, life mirrors that back through situations and relationships that undervalue you. This is not about blaming yourself. It's about awakening. When you begin to treat yourself with gentleness, the world adjusts accordingly. Your inner standard becomes the external boundary that life naturally respects. Picture a still lake under a quiet sunrise. Now imagine that lake as your inner voice. Your thoughts, your self-beliefs. What reflection is rising from that water? Are your inner words kind? Or do they wound you before the world even has the chance? Ask yourself honestly. How do I speak to myself when no one else is listening? Because the universe is always listening. Not to your wishes, but to your self-belief. Self-love is not a ritual or a set of affirmations you whisper, while ignoring the wounds underneath. It is the sacred decision to refuse to abandon yourself ever again. When you honor your own needs, life begins to honor them as well. When your inner voice softens, your outer world follows suit. And if someone shows up with less love than you now offer yourself, you will feel the mismatch instantly. And you'll walk away. Not with anger, but with alignment. Here's a question to guide your growth. If someone treated you the way you treat yourself, would you stay? Let the answer open your eyes. Not to shame you, but to awaken your heart. Every time you silence your truth, every time you minimize your needs, every time you choose self-neglect, you teach the world to do the same. But the moment you nurture your own worth, you reshape the pattern. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are worthy to receive. So speak to yourself with reverence. Show up for yourself like you matter. Because you always have. And as your inner voice becomes kinder, the universe responds in ways that once felt unreachable. Not with perfection, but with harmony. Not with noise, but with alignment. When you change the way you speak within, the world begins to answer back. And the language it uses is love. Have you ever noticed how the calmest people seem to attract life's blessings effortlessly? It's not luck. It's alignment. It's the quiet magnetic pull of inner peace. In Buddhism, stillness is not emptiness. It is receptivity. Like a serene lake reflecting the moonlight, A calm mind mirrors the abundance of life without effort or strain. Peace is not passive. It is not a luxury reserved for rare moments. It is power. True inner peace becomes a sacred invitation to the universe. It silently declares, I am open. I am ready. When the clutter of fear, doubt, and anxiety melts away, space opens within you. And in that space, life begins to flow not chaotically, but gently, gracefully, like sunlight spilling into a quiet room. Imagine yourself walking through a silent forest. No deadlines. No pressure. Just the whisper of leaves, the slow exhale of trees, and the grounding rhythm of your own breath. In that stillness, a subtle truth emerges. You have always been enough. Many of us run from peace. Not because we dislike it, but because it reveals what we have been avoiding. Our inner noise, our fears, our hidden insecurities. The world is loud. Distraction becomes armor. But peace strips away the noise, allowing you to see clearly, feel deeply, and move freely. Those who embody peace are rarely the loudest in the room. They do not chase, prove, or demand. Yet life bends toward them. Opportunities, love, clarity, and abundance arrive without force. Pause now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the calm rising from the center of your being. Notice how this quiet strength does not deplete, it expands. In peace, you are magnetic. You are not desperate. You are whole. You are open. The most powerful frequency is not noise, ambition, or control. It is calm, grounded awareness. It invites life to meet you exactly where you are. Remember, you don't need to chase what is already seeking you. You only need to become the space where it belongs. When your soul is still, life begins to move toward you. Not because you chased it, but because you created the room for it to arrive. Peace is not just a feeling. It is a signal, a frequency, a force. And when you embody it, the universe answers not with chaos, but with gentle, unwavering abundance. There is a subtle paradox in life. The harder you chase what you want, the farther away it often seems. Buddhism teaches us why. Clinging, grasping, and neediness, though instinctive, push away exactly what we desire most. It's not that wanting is wrong. It's not that longing is sinful. The problem is the energy behind it. Neediness signals to the universe, I am not enough. And the universe always reflects that truth back. Imagine holding a thick rope in your hands. Perhaps it represents a relationship, a dream, a goal, or even the identity you cling to. The more you squeeze, the more exhausted you become. Your muscles ache. Your heart tightens. And the rope itself feels heavier with each passing moment. Now imagine releasing it. Not in defeat. Not out of giving up. But out of trust. Surrendering creates space. And in that space, life begins to flow again. Naturally, effortlessly, beautifully. There is a critical difference between longing and neediness. Longing waits with open hands. Neediness grabs, clutches, fears emptiness. Neediness builds invisible walls around your heart. It can even block love itself. Many of us disguise need as desire. We chase approval, bend ourselves to please, and shapeshift to be accepted. But love that asks you to shrink, to erase parts of yourself, is not love. It's survival. The moment you look outside for completion, you abandon the truth of your inner wholeness. Here's the shift. When you start to trust your own completeness, your energy softens. You stop begging life to fill you. Instead, you become full. And from that fullness, something remarkable happens. You no longer scream your wants. You embody them. You become magnetic. And the universe responds to embodiment more than effort. True love doesn't beg. It doesn't cling. It invites. It flows naturally to those who know they are enough. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what rope am I holding too tightly? Can you let go not because you don't care, but because you finally trust? When you loosen your grip, life has room to enter. When you stop chasing, everything you once pursued begins to flow toward you. Not because you forced it. Not because you demanded it. But because your energy became clear, open, and whole. Let your desires be gentle. Let your soul be spacious. Trust your completeness. And watch the world reflect it back. Before we end, take a moment to breathe. Let all the thoughts, worries, and musts of the day settle. There is a quiet truth resting deep within you. A truth that has never left. Never needed fixing. And never demanded your permission to exist. In the rush of life, we often forget who we truly are. We chase worth through accomplishments. We search for love in the eyes of others. We measure our value by what the world celebrates. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us. All the answers, all the love, all the peace you are searching for are already within you. Imagine a calm, untouched lake at dawn. No ripples, no storms, just still, clear water reflecting the sky. That clarity is your essence. Whole, complete, and radiant. You don't need to polish yourself to be worthy of love. You don't need to prove yourself to earn peace. You simply need to stop disturbing the waters with self-judgment, fear, and comparison. What if nothing in you is broken? What if your path is not about fixing, but about unfolding like a lotus rising from the mud? Reaching for the light, not fighting the dirt? To love yourself is not vanity. It is a return to kindness, gentleness, and sacred presence. To see yourself the way the universe sees you. Not as flawed. Not as lacking. But as evolving, learning, and whole. Here's what you can do, starting right now. Sit in silence for a few moments. Feel your breath. Notice that it asks nothing of you, yet gives everything. That is love in its purest form. Meet yourself there. Without forcing. Without striving. Without needing to be more. When you do, something magical happens. You begin to live from your center. From the part of you that has never been afraid. Never been ashamed, never been small. You don't have to wait to be enough. You already are. Everything you have been searching for was never outside you. It has been quietly waiting within. Inside the stillness, inside your heart. Inside the love you were always meant to give yourself. So today, let this be your turning point. Stop running. Stop proving. Stop chasing. Come home to your own presence. Breathe deeply. And let the world respond to the fullness of who you truly are. Because when you love yourself fully, quietly, without condition, the universe answers not with chaos, not with struggle, but with gentle, unwavering alignment, grace, and abundance. You were never lost. You were simply waiting to remember who you truly are. End with this thought. You are enough. You are whole. You are the calm that the universe has been waiting for.